What we're going to introduce in this video is how you can set up your own custom roles for users within the platform. Now in Virtuoso we have 3 standard roles. So if we look into a project and then look at the different users, you can see that we have 3 roles. Read only, where all you can do is view records in the platform. Write, where obviously you're able then to create records such as your tests, your goals, extensions, execution plans, as well as execute tests. And then we have the manage role, which enables you to be an administrator, basically manage users within a given project. But what we also have is the ability for you to be able to create custom roles. For example, you might want to create a read-only user who can't edit tests, but they are able to execute or run their tests. Now to do that, we have in the organization view, we have a roles tab. Now, if this isn't enabled for you, just reach out to support or your account manager and they could switch it on for you. But in the roles, you're able to go ahead and create roles, and you can also manage them once they're created. So if I create a new role, I could, let's say, have a role where I want users to be able to read only but run tests. So I'm going to assign them the standard read-only access because I don't want them to be able to edit anything. But then what I can give them are additional permissions. So for example, I could enable for them to be able to execute journeys. So they can't edit them, but they can execute them. So let's go ahead and create that role. And you can see now it's created. I could go back and edit it and change the permissions, or I could delete it. What I'm going to do is create a second role, which is going to be edit, but cannot edit library checkpoints. So if you remember, library checkpoints are reusable segments that you can put into any test, for instance, login steps. So you could have it where users can basically do everything except for they can't edit library checkpoints. So they can't make changes to those reusable segments. So you might want to protect the ability for people to edit those, or not in this case, so they can't impact other users with the tests they created using library checkpoints, for example. And we're going to assign that to a write role, so they get all the other permissions. We're just removing one in this case. And let's go and create that role. So now what I want to do is go across and go into a project, and I'm going to take an existing user and I'm going to change them, and you'll see now we've got the additional roles we've created. So let's change this user to read only. Or actually first what we can do is take a look and see if I log in as that user with read-only permissions, we're going to check that they can't currently execute tests. Okay, so we're logged in as the user. They're coming in, they can see the project, they're going to access a test here, and then we're going to enter into the test, and you can see they do not have the permissions to be able to execute the test. They can't also, if they try and add a step, for instance, click on login, for example, then they're not going to be allowed to. So literally all they can do is view records in the platform. But now let's switch that same user so they've got our new permissions to be able to run tests, even though they retain otherwise read-only user rights. Okay, so I've logged back in as my admin user. I'm going to go back into the project and let's change that user to read-only, but they can run tests. So same user we looked at before. And now let's log back in that user and just check now that they can run tests, even though they won't be able to do anything more. They're still basically a read-only user. Great, so we're logged back in as our test user. We can see that if they try to edit a test, then we say click on login, for example, and click save. They still can't do that. They can't do things like create extensions or execution plans. So let's go and see and check that they can't create, for example, a natural language extension. So let's go test extension, and it should give them to say they're not allowed to. However, now, if you remember before with the read-only role, they couldn't run tests. Now you'll see they do have the permission in this case, so they could go ahead and execute this. So it's just a good demonstration of how you can set up custom roles. And again, you do that from the organization view in the roles tab. And again, if you don't have that available, just reach out to support or your account manager and they can switch that on for you.